It was just another regular morning on The View. Until it wasn't. The studio buzzed with energy, the audience settled into their seats, and the panelists prepared to dive into the day's hot topics. But no one could have predicted what was about to unfold. Because on that day, Whoopi Goldberg said something that shook the entire country. With one fiery statement, she didn't just spark a debate, she ignited a full-blown political storm. And you won't believe how fast things spiraled out of control. It all began when the co-hosts discussed the recent announcement from the Department of Justice. Officials claimed there was no Epstein client list to release, a statement many believed was a cover-up. The mood was already tense. Even conservative commentators like Laura Ingraham had expressed frustration over the lack of transparency. But when it was Whoopi's turn to speak, the moment shifted. She looked directly into the camera, her voice steady but sharp, and said, "If y'all think this man was ever going to expose the truth about Epstein, you're more naive than I thought. Trump doesn't want that list out because some of his people might be on it." The studio went silent. Then came the gasp. It was as if the entire room had stopped breathing. Some co-hosts looked shocked, while others nodded in quiet agreement. But Whoopi wasn't finished. She pressed on, "There's no accountability anymore. People worship politicians like gods and then act surprised when the truth doesn't come out. Sorry if you don't like it, but facts are facts." And just like that, the cameras cut to commercial, but the chaos was only beginning. Backstage, everything changed. According to a crew member who spoke off the record, producers scrambled in panic. Voices rose in the control room as executives rushed in to assess the damage. One insider revealed, "She went completely off script. Nobody saw it coming." You could hear shouting through the earpieces. What followed was nothing short of a media explosion. Social media caught fire. Within minutes, hashtags like #EpsteinFiles and #WhoopiVstrump began trending. Some viewers praised her courage, while others accused her of crossing the line. Conservative networks were the first to attack, labeling her statement reckless and un-American. Some even demanded her immediate firing. But here's the shocking part. ABC didn't issue any apology. Their silence only fueled the controversy. The backlash hit hard. Fans of The View were divided. The show had always welcomed heated debates, but this felt different. And remember, this wasn't the first time Whoopi had clashed with the network. Back in 2022, she was suspended for 2 weeks after controversial Holocaust comments. So, when she dropped another bombshell, people began asking, could this be the end of Whoopi on The View? Behind the scenes, ABC wasn't just facing public outrage. Sources claimed political operatives began calling the network to ask whether Whoopi's comments could be legally challenged. Executives reportedly held emergency meetings with legal teams and advertisers. Some brands even paused their sponsorships, fearing the fallout. Yet through it all, Whoopi remained silent at first. Then came Monday's episode. The audience buzzed with anticipation. Would Whoopi backtrack? Instead, she stared directly into the camera and declared, "I said what I said. If telling the truth makes people uncomfortable, that says more about them than me." The audience erupted. She wasn't backing down, not even a little. And this is where the story deepened. It wasn't just about Trump or Epstein anymore. It was about how far the media would go to protect powerful people. It was about what happens when someone dares to ask the questions no one else will. And quickly it exposed cracks not only in politics but in the media itself. But then came another twist. Just hours after Whoopi's defiant statement aired, a leaked internal memo began circulating online. Allegedly written by a senior ABC executive, it claimed Whoopi Goldberg had been placed on a watch list within the company due to her unpredictability and bold on-air remarks. This wasn't just a casual HR warning. The memo painted a picture of a network caught between public opinion, political pressure, and corporate sponsorships. It read, "While Ms. Goldberg remains a valued talent, recent unscripted comments regarding ongoing federal investigations, including implications against former President Trump, have placed the network in a vulnerable position with advertisers and legal consultants." Within hours, the document spread across the internet. People were stunned. Was ABC preparing to silence one of its most iconic hosts? The network didn't deny the memo. Instead, it issued a vague statement about supporting open dialogue and diverse opinions. That silence spoke louder than words. Something big was happening behind the scenes. Inside The View, tensions boiled. According to one staffer, the cast was now deeply divided. Sunny Hostin stood by Whoopi, saying she spoke the truth. But Alyssa Farah Griffin, the conservative voice on the panel, was reportedly furious, claiming the show was veering into dangerous territory. Even Joy Behar, usually one of Whoopi's closest allies, was overheard saying, "We're already under a microscope, now we're giving them ammunition." Emergency meetings were called. Producers panicked. Showrunners allegedly rewrote upcoming segments to avoid any Epstein-related discussions. Co-hosts were warned to stick closely to the teleprompter, and private pre-show briefings became more intense. But Whoopi refused to be silenced. Sources say she made it clear she wouldn't stop speaking out when it mattered most. Then came the fallout. Days after the memo leak, several major advertisers quietly pulled their sponsorships from The View. Insiders revealed the loss in ad revenue was significant. ABC felt real pressure. Leadership fractured as some executives wanted to support Whoopi, while others wanted to protect the network's image. Meanwhile, the public erupted online. Hashtags like #ProtectWhoopi and #CancelTheView trended simultaneously. Some called her a hero, others called her dangerous. Even celebrities jumped in. Rosie O'Donnell reposted Whoopi's clip with the caption, "That's the Whoopi I know, brave, fierce, unafraid of the truth." But Meghan McCain shot back, tweeting, "This is what happens when daytime TV turns into a conspiracy circus." And then lawmakers weighed in. Senator Elizabeth Warren, during an MSNBC interview, remarked, "When journalists and commentators start asking the hard questions, it's because the public deserves transparency, especially around matters as horrific as child trafficking." It was a subtle nod, but it carried weight. Meanwhile, rumors swirled that ABC executives had held a secret vote on Whoopi's future. Some wanted her gone, others warned firing her could cause even more damage. But while ABC tried to contain the fire, Whoopi poured gasoline on it. On the next Monday's episode, she spoke again, this time with even more fire. No teleprompter, no script. She looked into the camera and declared, "Silence is how we got here in the first place. Silence is how Epstein thrived. Silence is what some people want from me right now, but I'm not going to give it to them." The audience exploded. Applause, gasps, stunned reactions. It was chaos. Whoopi had just declared war. Her words weren't just aimed at Trump or Epstein anymore. She was taking on the media, corporate America, and even her own network. If speaking the truth about a convicted child trafficker makes people uncomfortable, she continued, maybe we need to ask who we're protecting, and why. And then things escalated again. A whistleblower leaked details of an internal risk list, a confidential document naming hosts considered a threat to brand stability. At the top of that list, Whoopi Goldberg. From there, the cracks inside the show widened. Some co-hosts avoided eye contact. Others grew unusually quiet. Clips showing co-hosts physically distancing themselves from Whoopi went viral online, fueling speculation that ABC was preparing to remove her. But Whoopi showed no fear. In an interview with Variety, she said bluntly, "I'm not accusing anyone of anything. I'm asking questions. Questions that matter. And if that makes me a target, then so be it." Her courage caught fire. Survivors of trafficking, anti-corruption activists, and everyday Americans rallied behind her. One trafficking survivor posted, "I wish more people had Whoopi's courage. Survivors deserve the truth. Silence protects predators." The post went viral, reaching over 1 million views. Soon another bombshell dropped. A respected investigative journalist reported that sealed Epstein court records were being quietly reviewed, and some names inside were tied to top media executives, including those with links to ABC. Suddenly, Whoopi's comments weren't just controversial, they were dangerous. ABC issued her a formal warning, but she refused to fold. On air she declared, "Some people want me to shut up, but my silence will never protect the powerful. I speak for those who can't." The studio erupted louder than ever. Even hesitant co-hosts applauded. Then a second whistleblower emerged, this time from a different network, claiming they had been told years earlier to bury any discussion linking Epstein to public figures in politics and entertainment. Their evidence, including internal memos and unaired footage, was verified by digital forensics. The tide turned. Under massive pressure, ABC released a statement praising The View's commitment to fearless discussion and confirming Whoopi Goldberg would remain on the show with full creative freedom. In the end, Whoopi didn't just survive the firestorm, she became the storm. What started as a daytime talk show segment had evolved into a national reckoning. She stood her ground alone at first, but her courage became contagious. And now the world is left asking if this could happen on live television. What else is hiding behind closed doors?